Honorable Nanadokua Esiameji. You're appearing before us for the second time. In your previous position, you were Deputy Minister for Information. You were re-elected to Parliament and you're nominated as Deputy Minister for Trade. Your CV is before us. But is there anything else you wish to tell us? Please, as concisely as possible, tell us a little more about yourself.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, but I think everything I would want to say is well stipulated in the CV. I had the opportunity to upgrade it, and it has every information I would want to say already. Thank you.
Yes, the public want to hear you, so go through it a little for them.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I was born on July 24th, 1982, here in Accra, and I hail from Ekropong Ekiapem. I'm a Christian, and I'm married with 3 children, and I'm a Ghanaian. I speak English, and I understand it quite well, and I speak Ekiapem Chi as my Ghanaian language. I've had some educational background, right from Alcid Academy through to St. Rose's Secondary School, through to University of Ghana. Beyond my education, I've had the opportunity to work with a number of organizations, and at a point I set up my own. In all the organizations that I had the experience with were all private sector organizations. And then in 2014 to 2016, I was the focal person for the MPP, for the Joint Party Support and Strengthening JPAS under UNDP. It was towards the 2016 elections, and every political party had a representative. And on 7th January till date, I have been the representative, and I still am the representative for the good people of Ekiapem North. I've had the opportunity to serve on the Defense and Interior Committee in my first term as a member, and I still am a member of that committee. I was also a member of the House Committee, and I'm currently a member of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. As a member of Parliament, I had the opportunity to represent the committee in a number of programs, some in the United Kingdom and some in other areas. And before then, as I stipulated in my CV, I had the opportunity to also be in some workshops, political workshops, and other workshops that were all geared towards making the private sector organization that I was working with better. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Right, honorable members, that's your candidate. You want to start? Yes, Honorable Acting Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, for according this unique status to me, albeit on a temporal basis. So I'll utilize it as much as I can. Take. Honorable Dokuya, congratulations. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Your government has touted the African Continental Free Trade Area as a success story, one of its achievements, primarily because the secretariat of that outfit is based here in Accra. Now, given the fact that we have had previous attempts to create a free trade area for the sub-region and the ECOWAS, which hasn't yielded a lot of dividend, because at the moment we had loggerheads with some of our neighboring countries with respect to trade issues, retail trade, etc. I don't want to mention names for obvious reasons. Honorable, what benefits would the African Continental Free Trade Area bring to the fore so far as trade liberalization is concerned, now that the Secretariat is in Ghana?
Thank you, Right Honorable Chair. Yes, indeed, we do tout the African Continental Free Trade Area as an achievement. We see it an achievement because for everything that provides a framework for our manufacturers or our exporters to be able to leverage on that is an achievement. And this African Continental Free Trade Area provides that framework. Quite briefly, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, area is a single market, duty-free, quota-free, operating within the African continent with a population of 1.2 billion and an estimated GDP of $3 trillion. This seeks to increase the intra-African trade. If we are to compare this with other areas, intra-Asian trade is a lay-down procedure on how to approach this situation. Unlike with the ECOWAS, where we don't really have this stipulated in here. So AFTA is going to be able to take after some of the good advantages of ECOWAS to make AFTA better. And with AFTA in place now, we'll also be able to make ECOWAS better so that we can still maintain the regional bloc and make it better and still take advantages, all the advantages necessary within the AFTA. Thank you.
Do you think we have sufficient political will on the part of our leaders to make the African Continental Free Trade Area work? Because largely, I think the reasons why ECOWAS hasn't been successful is as a result of the lack of political will.
Honorable, I believe all these issues to make our environment, everything better does not just depend on only our leaders, but it's a collective responsibility. As members of parliament, we have a role to play. Everybody in the environment, in the community will have a role to play for every policy to be fully successful. Thank you.
Quite recently, I read in the news, I don't know how true that is, but you are heading to a ministry, that is if you get the nod, which would deal directly with issues of that nature. And I'm talking about the news item which says China has actually started cocoa production and export. If this is indeed true, where does that leave Ghana? The news was frightening. You're going to trade if given the nod. Do you think this would affect Ghana's cocoa exports? If so, what do we do to maintain our position as the second leading exporting country of cocoa?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. But if we know the history of how cocoa got to Ghana, then if Fernando Po could not stop Ghana from growing cocoa, Ghana cannot stop any other country from growing cocoa. What matters is how we are able to make ours better. Fortunately, we have our comparative advantage, which is where we are geographically located, right around the meridian, and also where we fall around the equator. This gives us the fine aggregate of cocoa that we have here in Ghana, which is the most demanded for on the world market. So the other thing is to add value to it, to create employment for our people. Initially, we were exporting the raw cocoa beans. If we were still just exporting the raw cocoa beans as it was, and then now China became a competitor in exporting just the raw cocoa beans, then we should be worried. But for a few years now, it has been the president's idea for us to add value to the cocoa. And I think that moves us to a higher step than where China is. And Right Honorable Chair, it is even better for China, for a population of about 1 billion or more, to develop the taste for cocoa. So if they also have the taste for the cocoa, then eventually, when they try the better cocoa beans that we have here, the most demanded for, the one that cannot be compared to any other country, I'm sure they would start buying from us as well. Thank you.
Last question before I yield. Government's industrialization policy, which is otherwise known as one district, one factory, has been criticized, and I have criticized the policy for obvious reasons, because I believe it hasn't chalked a lot of success. But be that as it may, yes, one village, one district, one factory, but a factory clearly was ruled out in Commander. You are aware about the Commander Sugar Factory. Test runs were carried out, but we are still not producing sugar. Well, what would you have to say about this? And if given the nod, what would you do to ensure that Commander is working?
So, Honorable Chair, with the issue of Commander, it's a sensitive one now, but it's sensitive because it has taken the legal turn, and I know the Attorney General is preparing to respond on behalf of the ministry. I'm not a legal luminary to know which borders to tread on, just so that I do not fall on the other side of the law. Permit me to recuse myself from commenting on Commander. But I would only hope that this legal journey will end soon, so that our brothers and sisters will be able to find a meaningful employment in the factory. Thank you.
Sorry, Honorable Chair, I thought you would have commented on at least. Anyway, you don't want to go there, that's all right. But so just tell me, I mean, in a few words, what is the current state of government's industrialization policy? One district, one factory. Bulsa North Municipal Assembly, we don't have a factory. When should we expect one?
Right, Honorable Chair. The one district, one factory is purely private sector. It's purely private sector. It's a revolutionary intervention, and it's aimed at targeting industrialization and development in every part of Ghana. And it is supposed to help us curb the rural-urban migration. It is supposed to help us create and maintain our local economies, and it's giving quite a number of people an opportunity to add value to the natural resources that the various districts are endowed with. We currently have about 232 one district, one factory projects. And out of these one district, one factory projects, 76 of them are operational, 107 of them are at various stages of completion, and 49 are expected to begin construction this year. Out of these, we have about 140,000 direct and indirect employment jobs created, and we are expecting about 280,000 extra jobs by the time all the 232,000 the 232 projects are completed. So in a nutshell, I believe it's very successful. This is purely the initiative of government. The ministry creates the enabling environment for the private sector to be emboldened to invest in it. And with these numbers, I believe it is very impressive. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity. Honorable Dokuya, congratulations.
Thank you, Chair.
I wanted to make inquiry about how you are going to help promote trade within Africa, especially Ghana and other countries. But I seem to get a drift from your previous answers. So I take you to cashew. According to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, cashew production has increased from 94,448 in 2016 to 101,822 in 2019. In Techuma North alone, some 17,624 hectares of cashew are under production. We give about 54,405 metric tons of cashew per year. All these cashew that is produced in Ghana are exported raw. And we know that there are a lot of economic potential in the cashew sector. Ministry of Trade, emphasis on industry. What are you going to do to make industry relevant to cashew production? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Cashew and its issues as a raw material usually fall directly under the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. But roping in the industrialization bit, that is why we have this policy for the one district, one factory. I say this at the risk of sounding repetitive, but for now, it is the policy that can help us to be able to add value to all the various natural resources that are in our local areas. So I know the ministry is still taking proposals for the one district, one factory, and not only one district, one factory will be able to help with this cashew production, but the ministry has actually launched a 10-point industrialization agenda, which will be able to not only help add value to it, but provide the infrastructure for retail and provide the support for export and then the expansion of the cashew growing, as well as by the time we are able to sustain the production at the rate of the demand, we'll be able to invoke one part of the 10-point agenda, which is the business environment regulatory reform, to ensure that importing cashew into Ghana will be unattractive to the importer. Thank you.
Last one. The AU estimates that, and I think you've said it, that African trade will see a boost of about 60% by 2022. Do you think this is feasible, and why?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I see this very feasible and extremely possible because initially, because of the various fragmented markets, it was difficult for ECOWAS to ship probably to the Eastern Europe or other parts duty-free, quota-free. But with the provisions that AFTA gives and the opportunity it gives and the positions in there in helping for every country to implement policies and programs in boosting the development of the MSMEs, it is very, very possible for us to get to that target. Ghana has started our exports with on the AFCFTA and with 2 companies, and several other companies are in line, going through the necessary training to be able to produce at the market requirement to be able to take advantage of this. AUC refers to the MSMEs as the backbone to Africa's industrialization. It has about 80% of private sector businesses and employs close to 70% of all employees of private sector. So it is the belief of AU that once we are able to implement policies and programs to retool our MSMEs, Africa's industrialization targets will be achieved. Thank you.
That will be all for her. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Yes, Gisela. Sorry, Obi first.
Thank you so much. Deputy Minister, Trade and Industry, designate. My next door neighbor, I have to disclose that she's my next door neighbor, but there's no conflict of interest. Well, recently we've heard about ICAMs, and that so much has been made. What is it all about, and how useful is that, or how superior is it to the other systems that we were using?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. But before, I think, June 2020, for several years, Ghana was using different system at the ports. The trade facilitation system was different. And we ratified the WTO trade agreements. The World Trade Organization Trade Facilitation Agreement recommended that we install an end-to-end single window system. This is all supposed to promote our trade. If we believe indeed that trade is the engine of growth, and would need to do everything to eliminate obstacles from our trade facilitation, then it was necessary to implement the end-to-end single window. And that decision was taken in the ministry then. And currently, I would say that from the records, there has been some increment in revenue mobilization. Initially, in June, we recorded a negative, possibly because then there were COVID restrictions, so the Koreans who built the software were not able to come and give us the necessary training and orientation. But it soon picked up from July. July, I think we had about 23% increments comparing it to the previous year. And in August, we had 31%. In September,
sorry,
we had
August of when?
August of 2020, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you, Chairman. So be certain about it because of our record,
Okay.
so that we know what comparison you are doing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. So the months I'm actually calling for are in 2020 when the new system was installed. In September, we also had 34% increment as comparing it to 2019 September. In October, we had 34% as well. And then in November, we had 25% increment. And then in December, we had 19% increment.
Chairman, just to find out from the name, what's the name of the new system? You say single window. I know that there was single window right from the time that Honorable Hanatete was exiting trade. You had West Blue also come out on single window. What's the name of the new system?
So I explained that this is an end-to-end single window, not single window in isolation. I say end-to-end single window because once you make an input, the system is able to work on the whole processing till it is done. In the previous one they had about multiple vendors where possibly we start off with one vendor, you may have to stop to go continue with another vendor, and then come back with that vendor. And because it was not end-to-end, it was seen to have some sort of leakages in there on revenue mobilization. Thank you.
Chairman, still there, I have difficulty with it because I know that, for instance, GCNet provided some end-to-end. If you were seeking to improve it, I don't have a problem, but I would not accept an indictment of what existed before the takeover of the new system. And you haven't still supplied me with the name of the new system. If you do have, thank you, Chair.
Right, Honorable Chair, the new systems is called ICOMS, and it is not my wish to downgrade what the GCNet did, but we know technology does change, and in this realm, this is what had changed, and that was what was recommended, and the ministry took the decision then. Thank you.
Thank you. My last question will be on FDI. What do you think should be the role of FDI, and how do we enhance this to support industrialization?
Thank you, Right Honorable Chair. So basically, FDI is when an investment is made to acquire some lasting interest in enterprises operating outside the economy of the investor. And within the African sub-region, records have it that Ghana is able to attract a lot more FDIs. We do have the natural resources for the FDIs, and then we do also have the political stability for the FDI. Simply, industrialization is the economic activity of adding value to our natural resources, as well as creating employment through that. So once the FDI is directed at this kind of industrialization, that will be able to create employment for our people, that will be able to give us more value for our products by adding value, then we should be able to do what we do to attract a lot more FDIs. Ghana has an industrialization plan, and at 10 points an industrialization agenda has been set, and FDI will definitely help propel us to where we want to be in terms of industrialization. Thank you.
Thank you. If I take it from the Honorable Obiang, what are FDIs? And you have an idea how much FDIs entered Ghana end of year 2020? Thank you, Chair.
Apologies, Mr. Chair, but I do not have such records here now. Thank you.
It says, what is FDI?
Foreign direct investment. I'm sorry.
Yes, is it Honorable Gisera?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mine is just a quick question about local trade. Is your government going to have one district, one market policy or something like that? Because I'm just giving you slogans because, you know, you are used to sloganeering. She came for information, so she was also part of the sloganeering. But on a more serious note, the informal sector is huge in this country. And do you think that there's a time when we should also give a bit more formalization to that informal sector, informal local trade sector? And the special implication of that is the market. Is it time for us to have properly designed markets, for example, where you have the stores, you have the shops, you have bulk breaking areas, you have a transport terminal or whatever, just like how we have in Audusanya East, Kaswa, and I think Mankesim is also having that. I'm speaking from the central region. I have a big market in Bodrase. Unfortunately, I don't have that formality. But come to think of it, is it not time for us to have such formality in markets across the country? And almost whether it could even be some synergies and standardization of some of these things so that we know that this is category A, this is category B. But whichever way, it is categorized in one way or the other, so the districts can also get maximum benefits from it. What do you think about that?
Right, Honorable Chair, thank you. And I think Our markets and the individual market men and women all fall under the category of micro, small, and business enterprises. So currently, there's a new policy. A policy has been developed, and this policy has been able to transform possibly because of the bureaucracies involved in being able to formalize some of these sectors. And the Ghana enterprises agencies are decentralizing the operations by creating these business resource centers in the various districts, and then the Technological Solutions Center, so that they'll be able to address some of these issues and help formalize the informal sector. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I was actually referring more to the physical structures, facilities of markets. Yeah, markets. And does that mean that is it possible that it's come to a time when we actually have to categorize them? So that you have, say, tier 1, and you have, say, tier 2, and tier 3, and according to the district assembly, they know the revenue that comes in. But I'm saying this because to support local trade, so that local trade has a bit more structure to it than, oh, there's just, people just aggregate, start selling under some shed, and then it grows organically to become a market. Do we think that at some point there must be that formality to the activity called markets?
So, Right Honourable Chair, at the level of the ministers, I'll probably discuss with the minister when I get the nod to be able to coordinate with his colleague, the local government minister, to find a solution to what you suggest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the last question, I think this is the first time we are seeing that there are 3 deputy ministers under trade. Won't you be overlapping and bumping into each other? Maybe in your... Has there been 3 before? 3? Who's them?
Honourable Chair, I believe in the President's wisdom and the government's agenda. We want to take up the industrialization further than probably where we started from. And knowing that the bigger mandates given to the Ghana Enterprises Agency, the initial business development ministry, the Ministry of Trade and Industry has taken up all that under its umbrella, not forgetting the new African Continental Free Trade Area. All these need a lot of attention, and so I believe in the President's wisdom. That is why he thought he should be able to nominate 3 deputy ministers to be able to get all hands on deck. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yes, Saini.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I wish to share this with you before I share with the honorable nominee. It's a printout from the nominee's Facebook page. The nominee is my younger brother's age mate, so she passes to be called a younger sister, and I want her education on something. Yes, I am. I would like her education on something that she posted on social media, her Facebook handle to be precise, because it is in the local dialect. This was on April 7, 2018, when she served as Deputy Minister of Information. And she wrote a number of things about the former president of Ghana. But of relevance to me is the last but one sentence. A president who may need an Obinim sticker is still 100% more competent than an Ojumfunu. I hope I pronounce it well. Ojumfunu I don't know what that means. I will want her education on that to see what that means before I ask my question, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. If I remember quite well on this post, it was in a response to a comment directed at His Excellency the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as needing an Obini Mistake to perform as a president. And for me, I saw the comments that was directed as the president in jest, because I did not believe...
Just 1 minute. From who or by whom? We just want to follow the narrative.
Well, Right Honorable Chair, I think it was made by the ex-president, John Dramani Mahama.
You are certain and sure about that?
Yes, please.
Okay, proceed further.
And for me, I thought it was, he made the comment in jest, and I also responded in jest. And the Ojanfunu bit that I picked up was the same word that he used to describe his own self. And I'm not so sure when he also said that he was also serious that he was actually an Ojanfunu. So for me, this was the reason for the post.
Mr. Chairman, I've gotten a number of meanings for that. And one may be what she's alluding to, but like I said, I don't understand the Chi language very well. But is that the only meaning of Ojanfunu? Is that it? Mr. Chairman, you are from the Ashanti region. You are an Ashanti by tribe, and you should be helping us if it doesn't mean something else.
It means, all I know is that Ojanfunu means dead goat or dead sheep or anything like that.
Well, it can't mean stupid sheep.
No, it doesn't.
Not foolish sheep.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. Well, but Mr. Chairman, so my question, does the nominee consider these other adjectives that she uses in that same write-up very appropriate of a minister of state at the time, in reference to one who has served at the highest level of state before? I mean, West president ever, West election observer ever. I mean, does she find that very, very does she find that very appropriate? She served as Minister of Information then when she posted this.
Well, on hindsight, if it is supposed to be a serious conversation, probably no. But since I saw the ex-president's comment in jest, and I was also responding in jest, I thought it was the kind of political banter that we usually do. Thank you.
Chairman, but still at it, you know, election observer in Kenya, presidential election in Sierra Leone, with those descriptions, it has implications of whatever roles he played in safeguarding the elections and democracy in those countries. So this cannot just be in jest if you are downplaying whatever role he played in his capacity serving in those particular roles. I have a difficulty accepting just that as just in jest. What do you have to say to that?
Honorable Chair, I guess the purpose for apologies are when people play expensive jokes and it rocks the boat. So if it offends us so much, then I apologize. But it was all supposed to be a joke in response.
If that's conditional, if.
Yes,
no,
Honorable
but
Chair,
the word if,
I find it as a joke.
You know what it means to go and supervise a country election and then you tell the EU observer in Ghana that they just came to Ghana? You know what it means? It has implications. He just didn't go there. He went to play a particular role in safeguarding their democracy. So I have a problem with your conditional apology. If
Honorable Chair, I wrote this in jest. So if it is a joke that is offending you, then I apologize for it.
it's not offending chairman, so don't say if it is offending you. It's not offending chairman, please. It's not.
Honorable Chair, I'm supposed to be addressing the chair. That is why I referred to the chairman.
But in this language, it's not chairman. You say if it's supposed to be offending you.
Okay, so Honorable Chair, I wrote this post in jest in response to a comment that was made by the ex-president, which I also thought was in jest. But if some of my comments in there are offensive enough, then I apologize for it.
Chairman, if some of my comments in there are offensive enough, so it means we take it that you don't find anything wrong with it. Let's proceed. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, I'm a bit worried about these things because the kinds of things people write against one another on social media would never be accepted on anywhere in any formal forum.
Mr. Chairman.
But that's why it remains there.
Mr. Chairman.
I hope that when we come here,
And you reprimanded the NDC for saying the things we said about Osafo Mafo's explanation in relation to how Aisha Wang was deported. According to him, it was for national interests. It was to protect the national interests. And you said the NDC had no moral right to criticize the government and its ministers on the fight against illegal mining. Quote, for me, the NDC has no moral right to condemn anything about the fight against Galamsey because they were not able to list even a pin towards that kind of fight, unquote. And then you went on to say, quote, if this illegal mining had been allowed to go on from the way it was going on right from 2015, I'm sure a lot of our situation would have been a lot worse. It took a visionary leader of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to be able to put his presidency on the line. He is preparing the country for the next generation and not himself for the next election. So he took a step that several presidents were not able to take, unquote. Now, Mr. Chairman, we all do know that many presidents before Nana Akufo-Addo have also taken steps to fight Galamsey. In fact, the immediate past president, President Mahama, did fight Galamsey, contrary to the claim of the nominee that other presidents did not do that. But what didn't happen under President Mahama is that none of his appointees was caught being compromised on tape. No confiscated excavators were missing. A number of Asians, like you saw, who entered this country dubiously got deported. And yes, some excavators were also burnt even under President Mahama. So can the nominee tell us which steps she says that the current president has taken that no other president has taken in this fight against Galamsey? Which are the steps that are being taken that no other president has taken to win this Galamsey fight, which clearly, as we speak, is not being won?
Thank you, Chair. But then I was the Deputy Minister for Information, and I was probably assigned to that. I probably had all the details that I had then to be able to respond in the way that I did. But we all know, if for nothing at all, the President has put his presidency on the line to ensure that we end this menace. But beyond that, I would not be able to say anything more on the Galamsey issue because I do not have the facts now as I sit here. Thank you.
That's quite interesting. I thought you... Anyway, Mr. Chairman, I'll leave it here. Thank you.
All right. So before I come to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Congratulations once more, Honorable Nominee.
Thank you, Honorable.
A while ago, in an answer to a question before the committee, you made reference to industrialization, the industrialization agenda of this government. I understand that from the manifesto of the MPP, the one district, one factory has been one of the tools to achieve this industrialization. When you come to my constituency, which is the Medina constituency, we've been waiting for the past 4 years plus to have our own portion of this industrialization move. But we still have not had that opportunity yet. My question is that how many factories have been established under this industrialization agenda, particularly given the one district, one factory agenda? Not in Medina, in Ghana. We don't have one, so I want to know.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We currently have 32 one district, one factory projects. 76 of them are operational now. 107 of them are at various stages of completion, and 49 of them are to begin construction this year. That is the data on the 1D1F.
That sounds so impressive. How come Medina, has not benefited from this 1D1F initiative?
So, Honorable Chair, the 1D1F is purely private sector investment, although the government has other ways of incentivizing the project for it to be attractive for investors to invest in it. I'm hoping that within the 49 that are to take off this year, Medina is included. I do not have that data though, but I'm hoping. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll be very, very grateful to have our own portion of the 1D1F. Now, well, we'll be willing to partner the ministry to start one if we have that opportunity. Yes, so we fix it together. So thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The AGI on 31st March 2021 complained about high cost of internet affecting business in Ghana. What would your ministry do in partnership with the Honorable Minister of Communication to reduce the burden of this cost on businesses? Because we know that businesses can only do well if they can manage their costs.
Thank you, Chair. So for successful industrialization, it doesn't only work with the Ministry of Trade and Industry creating the enabling environment, but we would have to be able to liaise with other ministries that provide certain services to ensure that we are able to get the negotiated stands for the investors, to make it attractive to the investors. I would not only limit this with the Ministry of Communication, but for the Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of Sanitation, the Ministry of Roads and Highway, they all have a role to play in how well our industrialization agenda will be propelled. Thank you, Chair.
Now, there is also the fear that Ghana has fallen short on almost all the AFCAT competitive indicators. And in a recent publication by Ghana Web on 26 April 2021, the business mogul Mr. Sam Jonah, was reported as saying, and I quote, "We must re-evaluate the structure of our economy. No country has attained the height of development unless the major drivers of the economy are owned and controlled largely by the citizenry. Take a look at the major drivers of Ghanaian economy in the financial sector, the mining sector, construction of major projects, telecommunications, oil and gas, insurance, etc. These are often predominantly foreign-owned, and Ghanaians own little in these sectors. What would your ministry do to reverse this trend? And what would you do to protect the interest of local industries in Ghana? And you can tie this in together with the what is happening with the government automobile policies now. What you would do to protect spare parts dealers and people, working in that space in Ghana.
So, right, Honorable Chair, your question seems to be multiple questions fused together. So I'll probably attempt it one after the other, the way I understood it. With regards to the industrialization, in ensuring that we have and we protect our local content, the ministry has a 10-point agenda, from reviving distressed but viable industries, that's under the industry revitalization, to the one district, one factory, to the one region, one pack, which is the economic zones, to the strategic anchor industries, to export development program, retail infrastructure development, and business environment, regulatory reforms, SME development, industrial subcontracting, and then the public-private coordinating dialogue. All these are well thought out pillars, which are all supposed to be fused together to protect our local content and to ensure that our industrialization goes on as planned. There are times when Ghanaian manufacturers may get distressed because of technology, or they may get distressed because of access to long-term, medium or long-term financial facility, and they may get distressed because of even finding the local demand or market for their products. So all these points that I just mentioned, as well stipulated in the terms about, I think, 3 licenses. The highest license is the complete SKD, and then the intermediary is the enhanced, and the minimum is the basic SKD. We currently have 2 licenses issued, and one is the basic SKD, which is for the ministry, which is for the Volkswagen, and Kantanka has the enhanced SKD. This enhanced, the difference between enhanced and basic means enhanced has access to do a lot more work here in Ghana than the one that has basic, and the ultimate is the complete SKD. It will interest you to know that since this policy, Kantanka has been able to double its production capacity. So this policy has actually come in to support the work of the local manufacturer. But then we are also opening up to be able to give others the opportunity, because we would want to be able to employ more. And if our target is to be the industrial hub for West Africa, we should be able to give more than one option or variety to our prospective clients and prospective buyers, because we'll be competing with those who are able to import to the other parts of the country. The policy also does take care of those in the value chain who are already in the system now. For example, our brothers and sisters who may be working at Swami Magazine, who may have been producing this bulletin nuts all this time, there's a provision in there that is supposed to grant an opportunity for one of these original equipment manufacturers to set up a center of excellence here, to be able to train these people to produce at the market demand the original car parts, to ensure that with this new trade created and this new trade diverted, they are not found as casualties in the system. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Esla.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations.
Thank you, Honorable
our
Chair.
mountain queen. She's from the mountains, so she's my mountain queen. Now, we've been talking about 1D, 1F, boosting industrialization and trade, linking that up with the Continental Free Trade Area. How do we ensure that the goods produced in this country benefit from the market created by the Continental Free Trade Area? Non-traditional exports, promotion, and how do we also ensure, while you're addressing that issue too, that we can produce goods with consistent standards and quality and in the quantities that may be required, working with our industrialists, cottage industries, local producers, because we must benefit from the Continental Free Trade Area. Apart from just hosting it here, our goods must also find their way onto other parts of the continent and be the preferred choice. But consistency in standards and quality would be critical. The ability to produce in the quantities required would also be critical. What would you do working with your sector ministry to energize that space so we can take advantage of the markets created?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. But the one district, one factory under the 10-point agenda and the industrial revitalization program addresses the issue of capacity to produce, producing at the market demand, and also ensuring that the finished product corresponds with the market requirements. That is why the 1D, 1F was set up, because we realized even though we could produce a lot of our products on the market had either marketability problems in terms of packaging or possibly even maintaining the standards. So for the capacity to meet the market demand, that addresses it. And the revitalization bit deals with ensuring that long-term financial facility is injected, some technology is injected to be able to maintain the price and the quality and the standards of the products to be produced. On the other side of the coin, that is ensuring that Ghanaians are able to take advantage of it. I know the government has already taken some steps and to ensure that the implementation is harmonized. There's the institutional support structure, which has a number of, the apex body has a number of ministers involved, and the chair is the Trade and Industry Minister. Beyond that, with the transformation of NBSSI into Ghana Enterprises Agency, it's supposed to help us at the district level to be able to equip our industries and ensure some of these things. There's supposed to be an FDI officer in these offices, a standards authority officer in these offices, and the offices are all well equipped to be able to take advantage of, to help them improve the standards of their products, maintain the standards of the products to ensure that they meet the market requirements. And then there is an office at the Ministry of Trade and Industry one-stop office at the Trade and Industry, which is supposed to address all these issues for other companies which may not fall under 1D, 1F, but may be interested in taking the 1.2 billion market opportunity that AFTA provides, duty-free, quota-free. That office is there to give all the necessary assistance and support to every entrepreneur or manufacturer who's ready to take advantage of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And while looking at the hard side of it, we should also be focusing on some of the soft skills in terms of, well, we've been talking about the traditional market structure and what we can do to promote it, but technology would make this after work or fail. And so our traders should also be acquiring skills on how to use e-commerce and the other things that they need to do that. But to my next question. Yes, it was. No, don't worry. Nigeria is our closest neighbor. Well, not closest neighbor in terms of English language and affinity. But you? And we've had periodic challenges with Guta and the Nigerians working in this country in terms of the locking up of their shops. We do need to work to improve trade relations with them. So working with your minister, what would you do to ensure that some peace prevails and we build on our historic links with our largest English-speaking market in West Africa?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. This situation is quite unfortunate, and as a member of Parliament, first, I believe in the rule of law, and I'm hoping and entreating that everybody conducting and operating business should also do it with the rule of law in mind. This is quite sensitive. It borders on diplomacy and it borders on the rules of our land. So I know consultations are ongoing, and even earlier this year, there was a delegation from Nigeria led by their Trade, Industry and Investment Minister, all in discussion towards finding a solution to this problem. But before this solution comes on, I know the Ministry of Trade and Industry has set up a domestic trade team, and the domestic trade team has a working plan, and through their working plan, they have employed the services of a task force, and the task force are doing a lot of market surveillance to ensure that both Ghanaians and non-Ghanaians, everybody operating business in doing so, is doing so within the confines of the law until we find a lasting solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I'll leave it here. Thank you very much. Either please conclude for me. It's 4 o'clock.
Chairman, let me thank you for the opportunity to, and I'm minded by your quest for time. It is reported that Ghana spends about 82% of hard foreign exchange on imports, particularly the importation of rice. You have any plans what to do to assist your minister to reduce the importation of rice or the import bill on rice? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. But for some of these items that we do have the capacity to produce, it is unfortunate that we keep importing them. But being able to aggressively reduce these imports will only mean that we deepen our industrialization drive. For importers, or let's say traders, to invest in a particular product, they have a few things that they usually consider: competitive pricing, the finished product and packaging, and the marketability of the product, and then finally the capacity to produce and to ensure that they'll be able to receive their order at the rate of demand. So for us as Ghanaians to be able to reduce these imports, for our manufacturers, we would need to give them some assistance on training to ensure that they are able to maintain their products, their finished products, and the marketability, and they are able to maintain their finished products and ensure that they correspond with the market requirements, especially international market requirements, and then the marketability of the packaging. We need to ensure that they have access to some medium to long-term financial facility, and also some technology injection, so that they'll be able to compete with the industries that we usually import from. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. The textile industry in the country is in a sorry state, very sorry state. You see Japan Textile, Akusumbo Textile, and even many that are still in the private sector are struggling. Hitherto, it employed thousands of Ghanaians. At least you could talk of over 10,000. Today, it's not doing even up to 3,500. You have any plans to assist your minister for the rebounds of the textile industry?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, and it's unfortunate that industries that used to employ close to 30,000 people are now struggling to even keep the few that they have now employed. This is because of the influx of pirated products and those smuggled into mostly through our land borders. But the ministry has a plan of introducing textile tax stamps, a plan for textile import management system, where they'll be able to vet designs of manufacturers or importers to be able to mitigate the issues of piracy. There's a plan for single corridor entry for imported textiles. There's a plan for market surveillance. They've also the ministry has already given some sort of tax breaks to our local manufacturers. And in the COVID era, we were able to purchase close to 4 million yards of fabric from them for the nose masks that we manufacture.
Okay, Chairman,
here.
so that leaves me there. Did you play any role in the acquisition of local masks?
Right, Honorable Chair, I was Deputy Minister of Information. I was not at the ministry.
Did you play any role at the Ministry of Information in the acquisition of PPEs?
For my schedule, I didn't play any role in the acquisition of
You are not in any committee?
I was not on the COVID committee, Honorable Chair.
And you have an idea how much it costs the state, particularly the Ministry of Information, to procure one nose mask, just per unit cost?
I was not on the committee, and I was not on the any entity board, so I won't have that information.
All right, I appreciate that.
Thank you, Chair.
Chairman, the other one would be more of a commentary, because before I come to this other question, whilst I respect your sacrifice for time, today is Friday, and you're very critical of the NDC, moral. And then you say, NDC, we have no moral right. Let me read this quote and see where you stand. You have no morality, you have no morality. And then, Chairman, so I said I'll do a commentary. I'll end up with that. 1D, 1F, the principle and concept I share to the extent that is to address unemployment, to the extent that is to allow us industrialize, taking advantage of some opportunities of the economic advantage of those rural areas and communities. You are not there yet, so probably there's not even a question for you. But having worked at the Ministry of Information, I have a difficulty. It has now become another Accra Tema initiative. You see all the factories, Tema Accra, Tema Accra. That's not the concept as I appreciated it. I was thinking that a cashew plant somewhere in the Brown-Hafo region between Techima and Doma, or a poultry activity, or a cotton facility in Tumu, then I know you are taking advantage of where the economic have a term for it, the comparative advantage of that particular area. When you do get to the ministry, what will you do for a review of it, if you share my thinking on that?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I do share your with your. Let me associate myself with your sentiments, but really, as much as the policy or the program may not have reached every single district yet, it has still been quite extensive in terms of reaching some parts of Ghana. Some projects are yet to begin, and there are proposals that are still being considered.
Chairman, no problem. That's why I say you are not there yet, so I'll be fair to you. But I'm saying that take interest in it because, again, when you go to the ministry, we have a way to elucidate information on it. There's double cashing in on 1D, 1F. I have a long list of beneficiaries from Ghana Exim Bank on 1D, 1F. The same corporate entities are benefiting multiple from the government stimulus package. Yet there are other entrepreneurs across the country who just want an opportunity of a lifeline to undertake a trade of their own. Will you show interest in this, in assisting your minister for us to achieve the objective of the initiative? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. If the minister gives me that on my schedule, I'll give him all the support needed. Thank you.
And then again, Chairman, because I was at the Ministry of Trade, I'm careful those who go there because some of their roles have been taken away to the Ministry of Finance. I have fundamental objections to that. I think it's wrong. Particularly the trade facilitation function is a core function of the Ministry of Trade and Industry and not a finance function. I recall even fighting on the floor of Parliament that Ghana Exim, for instance, must have the Minister for Trade chair it, not at the Ministry of Finance again, because, Chairman, everywhere in the world, the Minister for the Economy is a Minister for Trade and Industry. You want to stimulate the growth of industry, it should be the Minister for Trade and Industry. You want to industrialize, it's the Minister for Trade and Industry. Finance, that's what they do, revenue and expenditure, then they share with us what they would be able to do. So I think that, Chairman, the Minister for Communication raised an important issue, standards. And that will lead me to my next question, phytosanitary conditions. If you take our watermelon, this watermelon, that's the Achimota pronunciation. And, watermelon, or pineapple, or banana. There are many countries that are looking to export that from Ghana. Their problem is Ghana meeting the minimum sanitary conditions. Take, for instance, Turkey and thank you very much. So you'll be Deputy Minister with three other. Ghana Standards Authority I believe it's still under Ministry of Trade. There are legislation. The Honorable former chair of the Trade Committee raised it a number of times. I support that we need a revision of it because our standards are still very, very poor. And some markets, let me generalize it, the Asian markets are still taking advantage. Sugar estate and sugar development. You have any ideas on it? The development of the sugar estate in Ghana. You want to share any idea?
No, please. I did not get that briefing from the ministry.
You want
Thank
to go and learn?
When you give me the nod.
And
Thank
the learning
you.
will be that where there is land, sunshine, and water, sugar can grow. So we have no reason in Ghana between Daboya going through Vice President area, the Nasia, Palugu. There is abundance of water, there is sunshine, there is land. We should be looking at it because if you spend 300, 500 million US dollars, you can get 90 megawatts of electricity out of it, and you can reduce your sugar import bill, which is also as worrying as your rice import bill. Galamsey report, when the presidents undertake them, do they apprise your ministry of it?
Ministry, for everything, every briefing from the ministry, I'm sure it will be the substantive minister who would go for it, not the deputy. Thank you.
So when they come and you have to speak, you are not brief, you just speak as you wish or you speak as you think. What happens?
Usually the minister will give you a few notes on what the discussion is about and the position. Thank you.
And then, Chairman, I should be ending as I said. Just on your CV, go to page, Deputy Minister for Information. What's Ghana's standing on press freedom as of today?
Currently, a third in Africa.
If there is a Facebook contribution, she will contribute. So she should speak to that. What's Ghana's standing?
Currently third in Africa.
And Chairman, I'm just concluding. No, maybe for today's purposes. Now, understand the NDC when we're critical of Osafo Mafo, then senior minister, on the deportation of Aisha Wang. Our reasoning. Aisha Wang is not above the laws of Ghana. And if Aisha Wang was culpable, to the extent that she was contributing to the destruction of our environment and our water bodies, we do not think that a diplomatic exchange was the way to go. Today, Aisha Wong is gone. Excavators are being burned of Ghanaians here. And then you were very critical in telling us that we have no moral right to raise these issues. We do. And we think that tomorrow, yesterday, we do. And so, what's your assessment of the president's fight against Galamsey? A lot of his own in-house people suffering and being caught under it. What's your own assessment? Thank you, Chair.
Well, I know it's a major fight. I know it's a difficult fight because of the people involved and the high-profile people involved from all sectors. So I know it is a tough fight, but I'm sure that with dedication, we'll be able to finish it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Very well, Honorable Dokua Ejei, or Dokua Esiama Ejei. Right. I have no question for you. I wish you well.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you to your committee members for the dedication. I'm grateful.
All right. You're discharged now. We are going to take a decision after that.